It was Shaw.
Yes.
New meaning for 6.
Meteorologist Jay Cardosi here at WLKY TV. Listen, we got a tornado warning that was just issued. This is for sections of Oldham County. Includes you folks in LaGrange up the I-71 corridor. Also into sections of Henry County in Kentucky and far northern sections of Shelby County. This goes for the next several minutes. This tornado warning goes until 8:30 EDT. This storm is moving off towards the east at speeds of around 40 miles an hour. Now, here's the deal. It is radar indicated, but if you look real close, you can see this red zone and how wavy it is. So we have some chaotic winds going on inside of this thunderstorm. And this is the storm that just passed through the metro area, the east end, with gusty winds and torrential rainfall. Well, with a lot of wind energy in the atmosphere, we're starting to get some curvature going on, and the National Weather Service, with all this wind energy, is playing it safe. No question about it. I agree entirely that there could be a possible tornado spin up with any of these stronger cells, and that one has developed very close to the Buckner area, Centerfield area. That's where the rotation presently is located. It looks a little bit broad to me, but red. These are winds blowing towards the right portion of your television set or computer screen. Green, the opposite direction. So we have this broad rotation going on very close to 71 in the Centerfield area. This is pushing its way off towards the east and will continue to carry its way into eastern portions of Oldham County, soon to be Henry County, could catch northern portions of Shelby County as well. So if you're in that polygon, that red polygon, the tornado warning polygon, need you to get into your tornado warned shelter area and stay there until the danger has passed. This is radar indicated. This is not a confirmed tornado at this point in the game, but nonetheless, we're watching it closely for a quick tornado spin up. Outside of that, torrential downpours and winds that could be upwards of 40 to 50 miles per hour. As this is kind of taking a backward C appearance, kind of a little bit of a bowing segment. And when that happens, you can get a strong wind gust as well. Eric Zernick running the radar on this Monday evening, putting a storm track up there for us. And the most dangerous part of the cell, as it continues to push off to the east, will affect places like Ballardsville here, 751, Smithfield, 758, just after the top of the hour, 8:05, Eminence, Bethlehem, 8:13, and Slabtown around 8:17 as it continues to push east on into Henry County. Eric, from what you've seen on the chat, what's the very latest? Are they getting any reports whatsoever? This is pretty much radar indicated, correct?
Still pretty much just radar indicated. Not really seeing any reports come in with that so far, but we've had those hailers across southern Indiana that have been producing some pretty good hail across that, but we're not getting any reports with this cell just quite yet. But as you mentioned, incredibly intense rain with this system, and it did bring some gusty winds along that leading edge, so you might have felt some 50, 60 mile an hour wind gusts as that system was pushing into your area. And so, as Jay mentioned, when you get those little C's and you get enough winds like that, you could start to get a little bit of some broad rotation, but this is probably pretty high up in the atmosphere. As you mentioned, we've had an outflow that's tried to cool off the environment a little bit. You've probably noticed that as that system came through, your temperatures dropped 5 to 10 degrees. So it is getting a little cooler out there, but this is an area that really hasn't had any rain yet. So still an environment conducive for a little bit of some rain moving through. So we'll continue to watch that as we go forward. But we're just watching this. Again, this continues for at least another 40 minutes as it goes until 8:30 this evening. So we'll continue to watch this tornado warning that they have up there for mainly out of Oldham County, getting ready to push into portions of Henry and Shelby County. So we'll be watching that as this evening goes on. Looks, as Jay mentioned, just south of the 71 corridor there in Oldham County is where we're probably seeing most of the winds right there. Is that what you're seeing, Jay?
Yeah, exactly, Eric. So it's this line segment that we continue to monitor. You know, I would say really anywhere from Russell Corner to LaGrange, arcing down towards and just northeast of Crestwood, and then it curves back to near long run. That's the area of chaotic winds. And right where you see that indentation, that inflow notch, very close to Ballardsville, that's where we have to be on the lookout for a quick tornado spin up anyway. And that's why the tornado warning has been issued. Knock on wood. What's good news to this point is no confirmed touchdowns, no funnel cloud sightings from what we've seen on chat, from storm spotters, law enforcement, but we will continue to watch it because we still have broad rotation going on in this region. Eric, if you would, take me right down to street level mapping there. Let's close in tight on the Ballardsville area. And again, this is 71 right there. Take me right down in there a little bit closer. You can see we're right down to street level mapping, Highway 22. This is where some of the rotation is now showing up. So we're 22 and also, let's say, State Highway 53 kind of come together right there at the Ballardsville area. It's kind of ground zero right now. I'm not saying that there's an actual tornado forming or one on the ground, but that's where we have some rotation going on in the atmosphere and with the environment. This is key. With the environment we have in our atmosphere tonight, there's a lot of wind energy. There's a lot of curvature going on. Some of these updrafts can capture into that, bring it down to the ground in the form of a damaging wind gust, maybe even a quick hitting spin up as well. Okay, Eric, let's pull back out, sir. And I know we have more weather going on a little farther off to the west. You can see additional severe thunderstorm warnings coming out of southwestern portions of Indiana. And this seems to be the superhighway right now along and just north of 64 for the heavy rain, the big storms. And any one of these cells could put down a damaging wind gust, perhaps even a little bit of hail. This cell in particular that's now across southern portions of Washington County, northern Harrison County. I'm talking places like Ramsey, Hancock Chapel, just west of Palmyra, over towards, let's say, the Hardinsburg area in southwestern Washington County, Indiana. Notice that hail core right there. So the radar was picking up hail 1 inch in diameter, even a little bit better than that about 20 minutes ago with this particular cell. And we're still picking up that hail core. And this is moving off to the east towards New Pekin, Greenville, Galena. If it holds together, it will likely impact western portions of Clark County and northwestern Floyd County as well. But for right now, severe thunderstorm warning. Southern Washington, northern Harrison. Yet another severe thunderstorm warning behind that one. For that line segment, as you can see, that's immediately west of English and just off to the east of Patoka Lake right now. This catches southern portions of Orange County. Some gusty winds. Notice the brighter greens. Also right here south of Palmyra. Eric, that's been a nice wind core for quite some time now.
That it has, and it looks like we got now a new severe thunderstorm warning for that cell moving out of northern Harrison County, getting ready to push into portions of Floyd County and the clips a little bit of Clark County there. So that's another new warning that likely, let's see how long that one goes till. That goes also until 8:30 this evening. That one, again, for the hail potential along with some gusty winds up to 60 miles per hour. These cells racing off to the east at about 40 miles per hour. So they are moving at some pretty decent clips with these cells. And you can see they're also bringing that intense, heavy rain with it. So we might have to watch for a little bit of some flooding concerns as these train over the same locations. You easily could start to pick up 1 to 2 inches within an hour's time if they keep rolling through the same locations.
Absolutely, Eric. And you couldn't buy a raindrop for a couple weeks or whatever. We've got drought conditions ongoing across the southern one half of the viewing area. And now we're getting too much water, at least in a few spots. All right, so let's go ahead and, if you would, Eric, let's pull out to the entire viewing area and kind of reset here, tell you what's going on. So on this Monday evening, we're watching a pretty strong cold front to the west. We have a lot of jet stream energy riding into the region from the southwest. At the same time, moisture and instability increasing from the south-southwest. Everything is kind of coming together. The end result over our region, this blow up of showers and storms, something we've been anticipating for the past couple of days. And the severe threat is alive and well in our region. It actually increases the farther west you go, but as you can plainly see, we too have the warnings now being issued for the threat for high winds, maybe some hail, and even an isolated tornado spin-up. So, flashing on your screen, severe thunderstorm warnings in orange. Green, flash flood warning to include places like Lawrence County, far western sections of Jackson County. And of immediate concern, Eric, let's close in on that guy, the tornado warning that continues for sections of Oldham County, Henry County, and far northern portions of Shelby County as well. And you can still see this little bowing segment, the inflow notch. It's now immediately east of Ballardsville. That's why the tornado warning has been issued. At this time, no confirmed touchdowns. We've got phone calls out to law enforcement, to storm spotters, what have you. That's great news, but there's still some subtle areas of rotation being picked up on the radar scan at this point in the game. So if you are from Ballardsville to Eminence, Newcastle, Bethlehem, Slabtown, Franklinton, anywhere in this tornado polygon, be in that place of safety. A basement, best spot to be. If you don't have a basement, lowest level of your house, an interior room, stay away from windows, things like that. You want to help slow down any debris that could be flying around outside. That is the key result. Outside the tornado warning, we have a large severe thunderstorm warning for winds that could easily be 50 to 60 miles per hour. And that's immediately off towards the east and northeast of the metro area. Eric?
In the chat, we're getting reports that people out in Henry County, especially towards Eminence, are starting to see a little bit of that broad rotation. So they're starting to see that from the ground. So we'll be keeping a very close eye on that. Again, this tornado warning goes for another half hour until 8:30, as it's now pretty much moving out of Oldham County and going to ride right along the county line of Henry and Shelby County is where it looks to be where we're seeing maybe some of the better rotation.
Okay, sounds good. If you would, can you put on the velocity scan for me there? And let's go storm relative as well, get a better idea as to where things may be happening. That storm relative?
Yes.
Right there? Yeah, you can still see plainly some rotation going on. We have the brighter green. That means winds are blowing very rapidly to the west and southwest, right next to the darker greens. That implies rotation right in this general area. So there is still some broad rotation going on in this particular cell. And just with the environment, the NWS, I'm sure, is going to keep this tornado warning going just in case. In addition, looks like maybe a little bit of hail in spots, perhaps just north of Chestnut Grove. So, folks, we're going to stay on the air with this. It's a volatile situation. We haven't had hardly any severe weather this spring yet. Well, we're getting some on this Monday evening. This thing will blow on through over the next several hours, and I think well after midnight tonight, everything will be quieting down. But until that time, a likelihood for more warnings coming out, some of which could be isolated tornado warnings with these little cells that are trying to wrap things up, trying to spin up weak tornadoes as this entire line segment and batch of storms moves across the area.
So yeah, not only do we have that tornado warning, we have those several severe thunderstorm warnings that we're continuing to keep an eye on, especially those just off to the north and west of Louisville that are pushing through Harrison County, getting ready to move into Floyd County. That is mainly for some large hail that is forming in northern Harrison County, just north of I-64 in that location. That'll be pushing into Floyd County here pretty quickly. And we'll put the hail tracker on so you can kind of see where that is. But it looks like it's coming down a little bit, Jay, not seeing it nearly as impressive as what we saw a little bit earlier. And then just back off to the west in that English area, you can see more hail potential. So we are watching for hail, gusty winds, and heavy rain for our southern Indiana communities, while we're also then tracking that potential for some rotation as you head off to the east, getting now out of Oldham County and more so getting into Henry and Shelby County.
Okay, Eric, thanks so very much. Let's put the reflectivity back on and let's zoom in tight on the metro area as well. Still locally heavy rainfall in Louisville. It is really coming down. Some of the winds were upwards of 50, 55 miles an hour, especially in between the Watterson and the Snyder and east of 65. This was about 15, 20 minutes ago. So there's some pretty strong winds, but very, very heavy rainfall continues across portions of the metro, and a severe thunderstorm warning continues at clips far east and northeastern Jefferson County for the next several minutes, to include very close to Pee Wee Valley, for example, up towards Crestwood, Centerfield, and areas off to the east and northeast from there. And then we get into the tornado warning area, and you can see it's from this line segment, very broad rotation. Eric, have you checked in on the chat? Are they still actually seeing rotation? Because it looks to me that this is coming down somewhat.
They're starting to say it's showing more straight line. It's not showing those notches. It's more, you know, lining up.
Right.
So that is the good news. And they had gone ahead and trimmed Oldham County out of the warning, now just putting Henry and Shelby County in that tornado warning. So they are quickly pushing it off to the east as that line continues to work off to the east as well at that 40 miles an hour.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, sir. Well, in the interim, even though it does appear to be coming down the rotation, we're going to hang on just a little bit while longer, as again, things could rapidly change in an environment such as we have on this Monday evening. So the tornado warning, southern portions of Henry County from Newcastle to Bethlehem down towards Eminence, Defoe, and extreme northern portions of Shelby County. If you're watching from Shelbyville, this does not include you. This is to the north of you and immediately northeast of Chestnut Grove. Yeah, rotation, very broad. If anything right now, at least in the low layers of the atmosphere, little bit right there. Red, green. So right there, it looks to be right on the county line, actually, very close to Eminence. So we'll continue to watch that closely as it moves steadily off towards the east and also the northeast. Now, this tornado warning, it goes until 8:30 tonight, the next 27 minutes or so. If the radar continues to show that weakening trend, I think there's a pretty good idea that they may be canceling this early. But in the interim, we're going to stay on just a little bit while longer and just make sure. All right, Eric, let's go back to the reflectivity field. Let's pull out and get a wide view of the viewing area. And you can see a lot of the storms are basically along either side of 64 and points off to the north. Eric, if you pull out even more and take a look at the Commonwealth, notice there is nothing happening down near the parkways. Temperatures are around 80, 82 degrees. Atmosphere is kind of capped off right now, but it's later on tonight as a main front works in from the northwest. We'll see additional showers and storms blow up, and you can see all the warnings that are happening off to the west of us in Illinois and southeastern Missouri, severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings, and that's the front that is working in our direction will likely trigger more storms as the evening hours wear on, okay? All right, so from the metro and points north, northeast, and also west-northwest along this storm highway, as I'm calling it, at least right over the 64 corridor. We have occasional strong and severe cells that have bubbled up, high winds, some hail, and at least a threat for a quick tornado spin up, although that threat seems to be coming down just a little bit, Eric.
And we're not seeing near the lightning that we were seeing earlier with some of these cells. You can see I got the lightning counter on there now, just over about 80 to 90 lightning strikes within the last several seconds. Earlier this afternoon, when those storms were coming through, we were easily seeing 200 to 300 lightning strikes every few seconds. So it does look like the lightning count in some of these storms is coming down a little bit as we now start to push a little bit later into the evening. Sunset this time of year closer to about 8:30, so the sun is coming down. We'll be starting to lose some of that instability as we move deeper into the evening, but it is still quite warm out there as temperatures, as Jay mentioned, just to the south where the storms are, still close to 80 degrees.
Okay, so tracking some line segments on this Monday evening. The lead one is responsible for that tornado warning in sections of Henry County, northern Shelby County, and again, the rotation still there, but very, very broad and seems to be weakening. So some good news, but extremely heavy rainfall. Newcastle, close to Eminence. As far as the rotation detector is concerned, the shear that's going out there, maybe some dangerous rotation of the winds. It was right on the leading edge of that heavier rain that was moving into sections of Henry County. Yeah, the tornado warning goes, what, Eric, for about the next 25 minutes or so?
Till 8:30, but as you mentioned, with how fast it's moving and with it starting to turn a little bit more linear in nature, wouldn't be surprised if they let that go ahead and cancel a little bit earlier. Let me go ahead and check over the chat and see what they're saying, but they haven't been really talking a whole lot about that specific cell.
Hey, if you would, take me down to the Shelbyville area and immediately just north of there. Let's take a look at this activity and put on our velocity scan. Let's go with the storm relative, if you would, for me. And yeah, I'm not seeing too terribly much there.
Relative and...
Yeah. Some gusty winds there, certainly, Eric, but I don't see much as far as rotation, so some good news. That kind of concerned me a little bit.
It was looking a little, yeah, on the reflectivity.
All right, back to our, reflectivity. I'll watch it close. See that little notch right there? Sometimes when you get rotation, it can start to take on a little bit of a hook appearance. So we'll watch this area in between Chestnut Grove and the Shelbyville vicinity, but as it stands right now, nothing that's too concerning. But boy, the heavy rainfall. Eric, you got a rainfall for me? This rain is just really, really causing some ponding on the roadways. Some areas over an inch of rain in a matter of an hour. You go north of the Ohio River, boy, we're talking several inches of rainfall in our northern communities up around Salem, and then you take it up into Orange County, you take it into Lawrence County, up near Mitchell, Bedford, those areas. I mean, the radar estimates are, 4 to 6 inches of rainfall. No wonder they have the flash flood warnings that are in effect up that way. All right, so here we are about almost 10 minutes after 8 o'clock on this Monday evening, watching 3 areas of potentially severe weather, one off to the east and northeast of the metro, severe thunderstorm warning, and embedded inside that, a tornado warning. Okay, this is for sections of Henry County, northern Shelby County. And then west of the metro, we have another severe thunderstorm warning for areas of Harrison County, especially from 64 up to near Palmyra. And this includes pretty much all of Floyd County. And then a third severe thunderstorm warning, Orange County as well as Crawford County. Any one of these little line segments had the potential to produce 50 to 60 mile-an-hour winds, some hail, and extremely heavy rainfall as well. Of immediate concern, though, we'll have to watch that cell that's over in Henry County.
Yeah, and we're starting to get a lot of wind reports coming in of trees down all throughout portions of Prospect, and as you get up into the Crestwood area, so that's where that system initiated in Oldham County. So it definitely had those winds maybe close to 60 miles an hour to start to bring some of those trees down. And we got to remember, it's now May. Those trees have the full foliage on them, and so that acts as that sail to kind of catch these winds. You're down now compared to a couple months ago when the trees were bare. So as we get into these deeper months, we have to watch that wind a little bit closer as it's able to catch on the leaves and bring those trees down a little bit easier now.
Anybody up in the booth there? Can we call up a tower cam, if you would, for me right now? Let's take a live look outside right now. Boy, we had those that shelf cloud move across the metro area about a half hour to an hour ago. Now a live look downtown, looking westbound towards those other storms that are coming in from southwestern Indiana. So we'll see more waves of heavy rain, gusty winds over the next hour or 2 hours, and certainly this could catch the metro as well. So we'll be watching for that. A little bit of a lull right now here in town, although some locally heavy rainfall continues. All right, back to the radar scan now. You're looking at Henry County, you're looking at Shelby County, the metro over here just off screen to your left. There's Newcastle, Bethlehem, Eminence. Tornado warning continues for this region. Eric, if you would, let's go ahead and put on the velocity scan. Yeah, and we've got very, very broad rotation going on in portions of this storm. And it looks to me that the best rotation now is on the southern flank of the tornado warning, just off to the west-southwest of the Cropper area. A little bit of rotation showing up, and that's also that zone that we were watching. If you go back to the reflectivity field, there you go. You can see it's right here, a little bit of an inflow notch, so we'll have to watch this zone already underneath a severe thunderstorm warning. So we'll watch it closely as it moves towards the Baghdad area, the Cropper area as well. But I think a little bit farther off to the north, here in Henry County, even though there's a tornado warning in effect, and stay in your place of safety until this thing is either canceled or is expired, please do that. At this time, at this exact moment in time, I really don't see anything that's screaming tornado, whether it's the velocity field or the reflectivity field at this time. But I do see a couple of notches that we're going to have to watch as the storm cell continues to move off in an easterly direction. Speed's pretty quick. Around 40 miles per hour.
It's definitely moving pretty quick, even as we turn the little higher up velocity, looking at rotation, not really showing a whole lot there. So we're just continuing to watch this cell, again, mainly for portions of Henry and Shelby County. We got still some cells moving through the metro and across southern Indiana that are still producing some pretty good hail. If we'll put the hail tracker on, you can see, especially for that one in northern Floyd County, still producing some pretty good hail with that. And then also back off to the west as you get over towards English, you can see some pretty good hail cores with those cells. So that's why we got the severe thunderstorm warnings for both of those back off to the north side of the river in southern Indiana. So we're continuing to watch these. They're just, like you mentioned, a train of storms. They've basically been setting up right along 64 and continuing to move into the area. So we'll put this in motion for you over the last hour, and you can kind of see how they really haven't been tracking to the south, just kind of riding west to east along that track for the last hour or so. Sounds like the rain's picking up here in downtown Louisville once again.
Okay, Eric, thanks so very much. Real quick, something that's catching my eye right now is right in this general area here, Floyd County. If you would, let's stop the loop and zoom in tight for me, and this would be very close to U.S. Highway 150 as it's cutting through there. See this zone right here. Give me a velocity scan if you would. Okay, nothing that screams any strong rotation, but certainly maybe a damaging wind gust. And of course, we do have the severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect for that area of Floyd County. And this is all moving towards places like New Albany. It's moving towards Cementville. It's moving towards Floyd's Knob. So anywhere here in Floyd County, really the entire county underneath this severe thunderstorm warning for the next several minutes. So still watching several areas of very stormy weather that's capable of bringing down some trees, snapping some power lines, things like that. Winds that could be upwards of 60 miles an hour, at least in a few spots. And you can see the warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, and one tornado warning that continues for areas east of the metro, Henry County, northern portions of Shelby County, until 8:30.
Yes, so it looks like they're going to go ahead and drop the tornado, keep the severe thunderstorm warning up for Henry and Shelby County as it looks to be turning a little bit more linear. We're not seeing quite the rotation signature that they were seeing earlier, so that is the good news. It looks like they're just starting to write that up, and we'll soon get that out of the system, but it does look like the thinking is they'll be dropping the tornado warning and just keeping up the severe thunderstorm warning for those locations.
Perfect. Okay, Eric, thank you so very much. So what we're going to do, if you would, let's pull out, let's take a look at the entire viewing area. We will keep you posted. If you reside to the south of the metro, still quiet, looks like it's going to stay quiet for the next maybe a couple of hours. Around Louisville, the I-64 corridor and points north, it's going to stay stormy. Passing showers and thunderstorms, any one of the cells could produce some strong winds, maybe a little bit of hail. We'll be watching for that potential for a quick hitting tornado spin up as well. And then areas off to the west, this red zone, that's a tornado watch. It's a PDS watch, a particularly dangerous situation where the Storms Prediction Center is thinking there could be some rather intense tornadoes off to the west. Those cells would be moving easterly, but the thinking is that they'll be weakening by the time they move into our region. But that's something we'll be watching like a hawk throughout the course of the evening. So again, Eric, they are going to be dropping that warning?
They just dropped.
Eric just dropped. Okay, so we're going to get you back to programming. If another tornado warning is issued, we'll be right back on. In the interim, we're going to be on YouTube. We're going to be on WLKY.com quite frequently throughout the course of the evening. So check back in with us over on those other two platforms for more continuous weather coverage, even outside any tornado warnings. Let's get you back to programming.
We now return to our regularly scheduled program, already in progress. WLKY News, right now at 11.
Severe weather is moving through our area right now as thunderstorms, flash flooding, and tornado warnings pop up this Monday night, leading to issues like this downed tree on Ash Street in Louisville. The WLKY weather team has been tracking these storms all day to help keep you and your family safe.
Our team is fanned out tonight as we check on downed trees, power lines, and flash flooding. But first, let's go straight to Chief Meteorologist Jay Cardosi. And Jay, more's coming our way?
Yeah, there is another line of strong and severe storms pushing into far western Indiana and southern Illinois. We're watching for those for the overnight period. Severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect from about the parkways and points off to the north until 4 a.m. And we still have that PDS tornado watch for the possibility of a couple of intense tornadoes the farther west and southwest you go. So far, there hasn't been a lot in that PDS watch, which is some great news. Around here, as you know, it's been a scattering of showers and storms for the better part of the evening, some of these producing gusty winds, hail, and torrential rainfall, ponding water pretty much everywhere around the metro. Reports of water in people's homes, buildings. We've had high water rescues around the metro, and the scattered showers, they continue around Jefferson County and really the better part of the viewing area, especially north of the parkways. You go south of the parkways, so far not much at all, but that will be changing a little bit later on tonight. Very heavy rainfall right now near Madison, Hanover, northern portions of Clark County, scattered showers around the metro, Bullitt County, and more rain and storms kind of filling in here in southwestern Indiana. They're not severe, but as we go a little bit farther off to the northwest, they are. Flashing on your screen in the viewing area, these are flash flood warnings to include the metro, and there is more heavy rain likely on the way. See that line of storms right there? Many of these are severe. We're talking severe thunderstorm warnings, especially in orange there flashing, and a couple of tornado warnings just south of Indy. This entire line working in our direction. Watch what happens on the Futurecast. That line is expected to pass through the metro from 1 to 2 a.m. and then sweep its way off to the southeast the deeper we go into the night. As it passes any one location, possibility of some damaging winds on a scattered basis, maybe even an isolated tornado spin up. I really think the deeper we get through the overnight, the threat for tornadoes will be coming down, as will the threat for damaging straight line winds, as we're just stabilizing the atmosphere, if you will. So we're going to hold on to the severe alert through 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then after that, things will really quiet down as temperatures settle back into the mid-60s by early tomorrow morning. So yes, Vicki, Rick, bottom line, we still have scattered showers and storms right now. No severe weather warnings, but that intense line has yet to work through, and it will after midnight, and we will be here keeping you up to date. Let's send it back to you.
Thanks, Jay. And as Jay mentioned, the heavy rain has sparked a flash flood warning in Jefferson County.
We've been monitoring the roads tonight. Jamie Mays is live along River Road. Jamie, what's happening there?
Vicki, Rick, we've been driving around throughout the evening and we've seen some damage. There was a tree down across the 900 block of Ash Street. Lots of tree limbs that we've seen. And right here on River Road, you can see that there's a car that was stuck in the water. Now, there have been several flash flood warnings throughout the evening. And in some of these cases, the water has gone down. It's receded. And just like here on River Road, we've been here and we've watched as this water has gone down. As we've just been here just for a few minutes, we've we've seen that the car has gone down around the tires. But in a lot of these cases, it's dark outside, there's low visibility, and so Metro Public Works is reminding people to make sure that you do not drive past any of these barricades that are up tonight. Make sure that you don't go past them. It's hard to tell just how deep this water is, and so those barricades are up for a reason. It takes about a foot of fast-moving water to completely just drive your car away on these streets, and you don't want that to happen out here. So if you see those barricades, stay behind them, turn around, don't drown. Reporting live, Jamie Mays, WLKY News.
Thank you, Jamie. The strong winds ripped trees out of the ground tonight, sending them onto homes and across roadways.
WLKY's Norman Seawright went to southern Indiana and witnessed some of the damage firsthand there. Norman, what'd you see?
Well, Rick, Vicki, as you mentioned, some of these trees dropped straight onto homes tonight. This was along Myrtle Street in Jeffersonville, east of Dutch Lane. You can see there's some serious roof damage there and broken windows. But when I saw it, looked like the tree just snapped. Some of that trunk was still left standing. I also saw a tree that snapped in someone's yard, sending it into the street. This was on Haymarket Drive. Those crews had that road blocked off when I got there, but as you can tell, there is no getting around that until the trees are removed. Now, removal teams were on the way as I was heading out, so they are working on that now. I also saw plenty of flooding. This was at the viaduct on Eastern Boulevard near Sodrell Street. Drivers were still seen trying to drive through that high water, but a reminder, safety officials will tell you, turn around when you see rising water on the road. And eventually, they did barricade that road as well. We also had reports of downed power lines and trees falling onto power lines. I didn't go near those. You shouldn't either. Report those if you happen to see them. You all? Back to you.
All right, good advice. Thanks, Norman. Right now,
the storms rolling through the region have sent trees toppling and pulled power lines down. This was on Ash Street. You can see it's closed off with tape, and that tree is taking up the whole road. And this is the Glen Oaks subdivision in northeast Jefferson County. More trees ripped down. Jay, this is a common sight tonight.
Yeah, Vicki, it really is. No question about it. We had reports of trees down, power lines snapped, thousands of people without power, and then add to that heavy rainfall. And a lot of this rain, 1 to 2.5 inches around the metro, coming in less than an hour or so. As a result, a lot of runoff and reports of flash flooding, water in people's homes, businesses, again, high water rescues. A lot of this water has receded around the metro, but there's another batch of heavy rain that's going to be pulling through. Look off to the northwest of the metro. Here in our northern communities, rainfall 2 to as much as 5 inches in a few isolated locations. For that reason, the flash flood warnings continue from Paoli, Salem, over to Madison, including you folks in Scottsburg, and of course, right around the metro area. Could still be some areas of high water, and on top of that, the rain chances continue to run very high, as do the thunderstorm chances. All right, we have a severe thunderstorm watch that remains in effect from about the parkways and points north. This goes until 4 o'clock in the morning. And that tornado watch, which could include still a couple of intense tornadoes off to the west and also the southwest. Let's get to the radar scan. And around Louisville, a couple of downpours on the Jefferson-Oldham County line. Also southern Jefferson County. We go a little bit farther off to the north. That rain is really coming down again in portions of southern Indiana, most notably close to Madison, Bedford, Milton here in Trimble County, immediately west of Carrollton, and in northern portions of Oldham County. There hasn't been much to the south of the metro, really south of the parkways, but that's going to be changing as the night wears on, and here's why. Look at this powerhouse line of storms that's kind of lining up, if you will, all the way from Muncie, Indy, and points off to the southwest. This is with the cold front. And with this line of storms, you can expect scattered, strong wind gusts and still that threat for an isolated tornado spin-up through the early overnight period. We have warnings all along this line of storms. Orange are severe thunderstorm warnings for damaging straight-line winds, and in red, a few tornado warnings where there could be brief tornado spin-ups, and that's what's going to be working towards the viewing area over the next 1 to 2 hours. Watch the futurecast. Here it comes. Should be affecting the metro, let's say between 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. The hope is that this stuff will be weakening somewhat as it approaches the I-65 corridor, but we can't put down our guard, and we won't. We're going to be here keeping you up to date until this line is all the way through the viewing area. After 2 o'clock in the morning, it will continue to rapidly push off to the southeast and really out of the region altogether before sunup tomorrow. So your detailed hourly planner, folks, we're going to hold on to that severe alert through 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Planning on going to bed, have a way to get warnings. And the best way, of course, WLKY and WLKY.com. And don't forget about our app. As we move towards tomorrow morning, we'll get rid of the rain. Temperatures will be moderating. Matter of fact, it looks to be a nice afternoon as we climb back to near 80 with lots of dry time for your Tuesday. And that leads us into tomorrow night. The next wave of rain and a few storms will be invading, especially as the deeper we go into your Tuesday night. Some of these could be strong, potentially severe, especially south and southwest of Louisville, with the primary threat being some hail. So we'll watch for that too tomorrow late night. Let's check your 5-day forecast. It's Derby week, right? Here we go. The severe alert tonight, then tomorrow is quiet. Tomorrow night, another severe alert, especially for areas southwest of Louisville. Once we get rid of that, I think by the time we head towards Wednesday afternoon for the Great Steamboat Race, we're dry. It's pleasant. Temperatures around 70. Thurby looks great, just a little bit on the cool side. 67 should be a fast track. Could be a spotty shower, a few sprinkles on Oaks. But I think the big weather story for Oaks and Derby, the cool air. We're going to be in the upper 50s to near 60 for high temperatures, and we'll hold on to those 60s Sunday and early next week, Monday as well. All right, guys, so how it stands right now. No warnings in the viewing area. No severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings. But I think that's going to be changing again over the next 30 to 60 minutes. So we'll be here keeping you up to date.
All right. Thank you, Jack.
Hi, folks. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jay Cardosa here at WLKY TV. And just real quick, we're going to give you a weather update. A very, very small tornado warning was just issued for far eastern Jennings County in our north and northeastern communities of Indiana there for the next couple of minutes, really. It's for this little segment that's east and northeast of the Vernon and North Vernon area. This tornado warning goes until 12:45, but this will soon be pushing into Ripley County in Indiana and out of the viewing area altogether. Nonetheless, if you reside or you know somebody, family, friends, that do reside here in eastern portions of Jennings County, give them a quick text, give them a quick phone call, just let them know what's going on. They may not be watching TV since here it is well after midnight already, but nonetheless, a pretty dangerous storm. It looks like there's a little bit of rotation in there, but more importantly, the environment in the atmosphere is conducive to quick-hitting spin-up tornadoes and damaging straight-line winds. As you can see, this is what we call the velocity field, and we do have what looks like maybe some broad rotation showing up. It's a little what we call backward C, a little bowing segment that is moving rapidly off to the east, and again, will soon be pushing out of the viewing area altogether. But nonetheless, you can see right in this general area, that's where there could be a little bit of twisting and turning going on, hence the tornado warning. Again, this is radar indicated, certainly not an observed tornado or even a funnel cloud. Obviously, it's night. Rain is coming down very, very heavily. So if you're in far eastern and northeastern Jennings County of Indiana, please get to that tornado warning shelter right now. Basement, absolute best spot. No basement, middle of the house. put as many walls between you and the outside. You can see the line of showers and storms extending down across southern Indiana. This is Jefferson County, Scott County. This is Washington County. Picks up a little bit here in northern portions of Perry County, and then I should say Harrison County, and then out to near Santa Claus in Spencer County of Indiana. But for this line segment, as you can see, no warnings in effect. Winds basically 40, 50 miles an hour. Eric Zernick is in with me early on this Tuesday morning. And yeah, I mean, some of the storm spotters, Eric, in Du Bois County?
Yeah, the 40 miles an hour is all we're looking at as far as winds along that leading edge. They're still packing a little bit of a punch, but definitely below the 60, which is needed to get to the severe thunderstorm warning criteria. So that is the good news, and that's why we're not seeing any of those warnings at the moment for that line that extends basically from Madison all the way back towards Owensboro, because those winds are nearly not quite as strong as needed to get to that warning level. And hopefully that trend will continue as we move deeper into our Tuesday morning, Jay.
Okay. Again, you can see that line of heavy rain, shower, and thunderstorm activity. This is the main batch. This is just ahead of the cold front. It is surging its way off to the east-southeast. It speeds of around 50 miles an hour. I mean, it's flying. So as it passes across any one location, here's the deal. It's going to rain heavily again. There's likely going to be renewed ponding, perhaps even some flash flooding in those areas that have already picked up the heavy rainfall, metro included, and areas off to the north, like the Madison area, Scottsburg area, and then back off towards the west. Well, here comes the heavy rain closing in on the downtown region as well as Clark County, and this line will continue to race its way east and southeast over the next couple 3 hours. We're thinking here it is 12:30. We're thinking by 3 o'clock in the morning, this thing should be pretty much out of the viewing area altogether. But as you know, you have not seen much rain south of the metro, south of the parkways, downstate Kentucky. Well, again, that's going to be changing as this line moves on through. So here's the tornado warning, a very, very small warning indeed for far east central and northeastern sections of Jennings County in southern Indiana. And you can see how the higher reflectivity, the heavier rain, if there is a spin up, it would be basically in that general area on the back side of this little Boeing segment heading towards the Osgood area of Ripley County here over the next few minutes. So give it just a couple, 3, 4, 5 more minutes, and it should be out of the viewing area altogether. But yeah, Eric, no confirmed sightings or anything like that?
No, nothing confirmed with that one as of yet. Not getting really any reports with that. But here we can see we've gotten a little bit of a break across much of Metro Louisville within the last hour or so. Maybe it's just still some light rain, but definitely the heaviest rains have given us a little bit of a break to try and let some of that ponding on the roadways drain off a little bit before this next round moves in. And I don't think it's going to be very long before we start to see that. I would say as we get pretty close to 1 o'clock, so about another 20 to 25 minutes, that line that you see just off to the north and west, that's moving it through northwestern Harrison County, getting ready to push into Floyd County, portions of far western Clark County. That's going to continue the drift in our direction. And as Jay mentioned, this is moving at about 45 to 50 miles per hour, so it is racing pretty fast. So still going to pack a little bit of a punch when it moves in, but again, below that severe level, Jay.
Okay, Eric, thanks so very much. So again, you're looking at the live radar, and as you can see, the east end, some downpours scattered about. Here comes that batch of heavier rain. Eric was talking about winds upwards of 40, maybe 50 miles an hour as it passes across any one location. And with the exception, Eric, of the tornado warning in eastern Jennings County, that's all there is. Is that correct? In the viewing area?
In the viewing area, yeah.
Okay, well, we have the flash flood warnings that are ongoing, and that we're going to have to watch for that. Please, if you don't have to go out, let this heavy rain move on through. It likely will cause additional ponding, as I talked about, maybe even some additional flash flooding in spots. But once it does pass through, allow some time for that water to recede, and everything should be in pretty good shape. as this will continue to rapidly push off towards the south and southeast. You can see a number of warnings being issued west of our region along the Ohio River, close to Owensboro, Evansville, and then back off towards the southwest, just west of Madisonville. This is west of our viewing area, and this is where there is greater instability in the atmosphere. So these storms, pretty intense right now. They are tracking off towards the east-southeast and could catch our southwestern communities. So if you reside in places like Breckinridge County, Grayson County, perhaps even the parkways and points south, we're going to have to watch the threat for some stronger storms, especially west of 65 and down near the parkways. I would say the Western Kentucky Parkway. That zone, Eric, not much happened down there.
No, it hasn't. It's
storms. Yeah, so there's still some instability, and that atmosphere has not been worked over all that much. Closer to the metro area, we've seen the heavy rainfall, likely 1 to 3 inches by now in many, many spots. And here comes yet another batch of heavy rain and some gusty winds. The only warning in the viewing area is that tornado warning for far eastern portions of Jennings County of Indiana, but that appears to be moving over into Ripley County as we speak. Tell you what, can you call up the Indy radar and let's look at what the velocity looks like, the wind velocity from Indy, get a better sampling of if there is any rotation showing up in this thing. And this is kind of like on the northern edge of what we call a Boeing segment, where there is a little bit of slight cyclonic curvature that can happen. And yeah, okay, so green are winds that are blowing towards the radar, the top left-hand portion of your TV set, red the opposite direction. And notice there is a little bit of twist going on here now in Ripley County, but that's out of Jennings County. So if you are here in Jennings County, I think it's safe that the tornado threat is already off to your east, and you can get out of your tornado warning shelter area. So good news there, and at this point in time, nothing confirmed to have touched down, right?
Nothing confirmed. And the other good news here locally in downtown Louisville is the considerable flash flood warning that went until 12:30 has been able to expire. They're just going with the general flash flood warning for the area. So it does look like with that little bit of a break within the last hour or two, things are draining off a little bit. And hopefully this next round won't be as long in duration. Yes, it's still going to pack some of those heavy rains for maybe 15, 20 minutes, but it was not going to be like what it was earlier when it stuck around for a couple hours and brought some of those heavier showers.
Absolutely, absolutely. Eric, let's take it back down to the metro here real quick before we get you back to regular programming. And is that LMK right there, or is that LVX, I should say? That
was Indy, so this is now Louisville.
Okay, so we have Louisville's radar. Okay, so there you go. You can see that line of showers and storms holding just off to the north and west of the metro. The leading edge likely producing some gusty winds, but extremely heavy rainfall. A little bit of lightning and thunder, but that's looking a little bit ragged now, a little bit more discombobulated. Yeah, it's going to come through with a punch, but at this point in the game, we are not looking at any severe thunderstorm warnings.
No.
With this line segment as it moves across southern Indiana heading into the metro area. So some good news there.
And I would say good news probably for all of Orange, Washington, and as you get up into Jackson and Jennings County, you're pretty much done with the worst of the weather for the rest of this evening. So you can pretty much sleep easy for the rest of the night because you're pretty much out of the woods as far as the worst of the weather is concerned on the back side of that line.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay, folks, so that tornado warning that was up in eastern Jennings County, that cell has slipped over into Ripley County, which is outside of our viewing area. At the way it looks right now, as you can see, not much happening as far as the severe threat is concerned. Yes, some heavy rainfall, some gusty winds here in southern Indiana. Let's go south now, Eric, and check out the Commonwealth a little bit farther south. And yeah, you can see that's just false echo activity. A few showers down near the Cumberland Parkway, and also some locally heavy rainfall east and southeast of the metro. But this is the line that will continue to push off towards the southeast. So, hey, Eric and I, we're going to keep you posted. We're going to be here throughout the night. And the morning crew, Matt, Suzanne Moe will also be in the next 1 to 2 hours, so we'll take you through this entire event until it gets on out of here and things quiet down across the entire WLKY viewing area. All right, that's all we have for you right now. We'll definitely keep you posted. Stay tuned, WLKY and WLKY.com. Let's get you back to programming.
In the evening, WLKY is where Greater Louisville turns.
Evening news leaders here for you.
That's live local late break on WLKY News.
Hi, folks. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jay Cardosi here at WLKY alongside meteorologist Matt Milosevic. And we got a brand new tornado warning that has just been issued. This one is for eastern portions of Grayson County, far southern Hardin County, and northwestern sections of Hart County. We have a little bit of a kink going on right by the Fragrant area east of Litchfield, north of Black Rock here in eastern Grayson County. And just with the environmental winds that we have going on in the atmosphere, any little kink can actually help spin up a brief tornado. National Weather Service has just issued this. Again, it's moving rapidly off towards the east. There is little kink. This is the velocity field, and where you see the greens, other winds blowing towards the top portion of your TV set, red the opposite direction. So a little bit of a velocity couplet there, holding just off towards the east and southeast of the Western Kentucky Parkway here in far eastern Grayson County. There it is right there. That's a little bit of a hook. Precipitation kind of wrapping around that rotating part of the cell. Now, again, this is not one of those huge, massive wedge tornadoes. It's just a quick little spin up if it happens at all. Nonetheless, if you are in the warning area, eastern Grayson County, southern portions of Hardin County, over into LaRue County and Hart County, please be in your place of safety. Upton 233, Hammondville around 239, Jonesville 242, and Magnolia the same, right around 242. That's when the rotation could come very close to your area. So stay in that basement, no basement, center of the house, lowest level of the house. Put as many walls between you and the outside to help stop any and all flying debris that could be occurring with this possible radar indicated tornado. And that's what it is. No confirmed sighting, radar indicated, but there could be a little bit of hail as well. Radar is picking up what could be some small hail from Big Clifty down to near Annetta and just off to the east of Litchfield. This too moving off in an easterly direction. Matt, you've been checking out the chat and things like that. What are they saying?
Yeah, giving a quick look. And Jay, you've been watching this too. This is the carryover from a storm that had been back into Ohio County, western Kentucky, farther on off towards the west. And so they're just keeping an eye on it. And I guess and the Weather Service saw that little kind of uptick in rotation there with this on radar. This is still radar indicated here, and that's really the basic from this, is that they're just still concerned about that storm, and it is kind of the one lone supercell, if you will, in this line of showers and thunderstorms. It still extends along and now south of the parkways, and that really is the most severe part. Still going into also some slightly better air, perhaps. It's a little less worked over as it heads into our far southern communities. So we'll continue to monitor it too. Green, Taylor, Adair County still has a little bit of let's say juice, if you will, for some of these storms. Yeah, exactly. You get down near the Cumberland Parkway, certainly south of the parkways in general, there hasn't been much rain throughout the course of the afternoon hours of yesterday or last night. And so this is the brunt of the rain that southern Kentucky is seeing with this entire system. And this is some heavy rainfall. But yeah, you can see what kind of a backward sea appearance, little Boeing segment that is moving and accelerating off to the east-southeast across our southern communities, as Matt alluded to, now south of the parkways. But there you go. Pretty decent rotation, a tight little couplet trying to form here on this Tuesday early morning, heading right towards, let's call it the triple point of Hart, Hardin, and Grayson County. So if you're in this area, again, if you're in that red area, that red
polygon need to be in that place of safety until this thing has passed on through. And it is. It's moving pretty quickly. Now, to the south of the rotation, Matt, looks like maybe a little bit of a Boeing segment could produce some gusty winds too, and that's why we have the severe thunderstorm warning in effect.
Yeah, going to have to watch out for that too with any of these winds here that we've had so far overnight with these storms. 60 miles an hour plus is going to be a possibility with that. So just be on the lookout for that. You know, Jay, it's kind of interesting here, those last couple of scans. I mean, it was a pretty good little couplet there, and maybe just coming a little more straight line wind dominant there in the last couple of scans. And this is what would be pretty typical in these type of bow echoes kind of segment type of tornadoes. We always talk about that, these quick little spin ups that can happen. And this is definitely showing that type of sign as every couple of minutes and the new radar scan comes in. That last one there looked a little more like a straight line wind gust there.
Yeah, you can see it's more of a linear fashion to it. Still a little bit of a bump there, but not that wave.
Yeah.
That was showing up. Exactly right. Yeah. Now, everything is to the south of the metro. The metro is out of the woods. We are done with any and all severe weather chances here in town. Still some leftover rain, but that too should be generally lifting out over the next hour or so. If there's a threat for any more severe weather, it's along that line of heavy rainfall, lightning and thunder, and sporadic gusty winds in our southern communities, the parkways and points off to the south. So if you reside the southern 1/3 of the viewing area, yeah, it's still a chance for some scattered strong to severe cells, some straight line wind, and maybe a brief tornado spin up. And that's exactly what we're seeing early on this Tuesday morning. So again, of immediate concern is the tornado warning that is in effect for the next several minutes. Eastern Grayson, southern Hardin, on into LaRue, and northern Hart counties for the next several minutes. Matt, I agree. That thing is, it's starting to kind of equalize out a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's definitely good news here. And, you know, from those couple of scans ago and the history of this storm, totally understand why the National Weather Service wanted to just kind of stay up above on this one and go on the tornado warning here. And I know that that can be pretty scary as you are here we are in the middle of the night at 2:27 Eastern time, and we're still, you know, you're having perhaps tornado sirens go off in portions of Grayson, southern Hardin County here. So that's pretty tough when you're waking up to see that. But yeah, the latest scans here on the radar are looking to be good news. But having said that, Jay, I mean, you and Eric, y'all been tracking this all night long with these severe thunderstorms that are occasionally also putting down some strong wind gusts, taking down some tree limbs and power lines. So it's been a rough night across the region.
Yeah, scattered pockets of high winds, even here in the metro, especially going back to last night, Monday night. So yeah, pretty stormy weather across the region, no question about it. All right, so if you're just now waking up, you're joining us, here's what's going on. We have a severe thunderstorm warning. We have a tornado warning in our southern communities. This is Eastern Grayson, now working into northwestern Hart County, southern Hardin, and southern LaRue counties as well. Tornado warning in effect for this Boeing segment that's moving rapidly off to the east. You can see some of the communities in the path of this rotation here. The rotation is weakening some, but hey, don't put down your guard. The warning is still in effect, and stay in your place of safety until this thing has either expired or has been canceled. But Hammondville, that's in Hart County, 236, Jonesville right around 238. You get towards Magnolia, Powder Mill, Bloyd's Crossing, and Summersville, you're getting a little bit closer to 3 o'clock in the morning. So if you reside in these communities or around those areas, you're in the red polygon. Just stay in your place of safety until this thing has passed on through. A little bit of hail, Matt.
Yeah, it looks like that could be showing up too. And this was mentioned in the warning that we could have up to perhaps penny-sized hail or 3/4 of an inch hail with that as well. So we'll be on the lookout for the potential of at least a little bit of hail. Also something that's been with some of these storms from time to time tonight and through the overnight hours and yesterday. But yeah, that's just kind of with that more intense leading edge of the core here that you see in those oranges and even some of the purples there along along between, let's say, Brownsville and up towards, between Brownsville and Upton there along that heavier line.
Yeah, and notice this little inflow notch has become a little bit better defined once again. So it's just a little area of rotation riding this this line of thunderstorms, and we just got to keep our eye on it. And with the atmosphere, how conducive it is for rotating storms this morning. National Weather Service is not going to take any chances here. They're going to go ahead and issue that tornado warning. And of course, it is the dead of night. We don't want you going outside. Just stay in your place of safety. Let this thing move on through, and it will. It's moving very rapidly off to the east-southeast. Pretty decent, though, little inflow notch there. Very close to Lone Star, Bonneville. This is northern Hart County. Of course, there's Interstate 65 cutting across Hart County on into Hardin County. And this thing moving rapidly off to the east and also the southeast. It's actually kind of accelerating, Matt.
Yeah, it was. Initially, the warning was traveling around 55 off to the east and southeast. Yeah, that kind of looks like it may have picked up even a little bit, perhaps pushing close to 60. Was looking at some of the most recent data out there. Litchfield had a gust around 40. So this will be pretty sporadic too, you know, I think with any intense downpours or I should say any intense wind gust here. But it's kind of missing the Kentucky mesonet sites a little bit for where it is right now. This is in pretty open rural areas. Nonetheless, we may not get the best information, at least from some of the surface observations. And of course, as in the dark of night, in the middle of the night here, we oftentimes don't get as many reports as we would during the day because a lot of folks are asleep, even if this line is waking you up a little bit in our southern communities. And I hope it is. I always hope you have a way to get tornado warnings at night. But the good news is, and you can also see, Jay, just recently, they kind of trimmed back that tornado warning, the western edge of it now, out of Grayson County entirely.
All right, gang, so if you are in northern Hart County, southern Hardin, on into LaRue County, in that warned zone, that red polygon, stay in that place of safety just to make sure. Outside of that tornado warning, we have a severe thunderstorm warning, possibility of 50 to 60 mile an hour winds on either side. And again, there's the rotation right there. The green, winds blowing towards the top portion of your TV set. Red, the opposite direction. Very close to the Bonneville area at this point in the game. It's broad. It's not really all that tight, but it is there, so we have to take it serious. That is for sure. And by the way, if you are now just waking up, again, here in the metro, yeah, everything is off to the south. The Louisville area in fine shape. The heavy rain is even pushing away. Water is receding, and it was rough go on your Monday evening. Some of that rain coming down so heavy, it just kind of overwhelmed the storm sewers, and we had flash flooding all over the place with even some water rescues going on in various parts of the metro. Well, that is now done. It's still raining, but the severe threat and the real heavy rain threat is also moving out. That is the same up I-71. You can see the oranges, the yellows, and even some reds mixing in. This wavy line of thunderstorms that extends across our southern communities, close to the parkways, and especially off to the south. That's where the threat for severe weather is still alive and well, at least in scattered pockets. Okay, this is the rainfall as it occurred the past 12 to 24 hours, and a solid 1 to 3 inches of rain here in Louisville, perhaps a little bit more in a few spots. You jump north and you can see from Bedford, Paoli, Salem, southern portions of Jackson County, right through Scottsburg, Madison. I mean, the radar estimates are upwards of a half foot. In reality, checking some of the rain gauges with some of the storm spotters here in southern Indiana, still upwards of 4 or 5 inches. I mean, rain that really came down and caused some issues, caused some flash flooding as well. All right, so just those two warnings, right, Matt? Yeah, that's really the only games in town, Jay. That warning, too, the tornado warning, is in effect until, I believe that's 4 o'clock, and that's going to be Eastern time. So that's going to, or hold on, that's the severe thunderstorm watch. I apologize for that. I clicked on the wrong text here, and it looks like that's going until, let's see, 2:45. 2:45. So sorry about that, yeah. Okay. 245 EDT, this tornado warning continues. And again, it is for that little notch right there. We have wind or an inflow going in like that. We have the outflow coming the other way, so there's a little bit of a spin going on in between Bonneville and Upton right now, getting close to I-65, perhaps, if not on I-65, maybe a little bit west of there. So there's potential. There's potential for a quick tornado spin up right now, running the Hardin-Hart County line.
It's going to look down on Interstate 65 if we have a chance, Jay. It's going to take me a minute.
Okay.
On our Trimark traffic cameras. There are some cameras down in southern portions of Hardin County. It's just going to take me a second to get that loaded up. When I do, we'll jump on over to that. So just give me a minute. We'll see as that passes the I-65 corridor. That could give us a little bit more information on what we're dealing with. But yeah, right now I also looking at the chat and the National Weather Service. They don't seem to be. There's not any indications of any damage or anything that has changed with this. It's still a radar indicated tornado there into portions of now northern Hart County.
Good to hear. Good to hear. If you're watching from Litchfield, the threat is off to your east and south right now. You are pretty much done in Litchfield with any and all severe weather chances. You're going to hold on to rain, some thunder and lightning, don't get me wrong. But severe weather, no, it's immediately off to your east and south. Matter of fact, it's running from Edmonson County now right through Hart County and then kind of waves its way off towards the northeast. Here's Hodgenville and LaRue County. So right through Hodgenville and then off to the northeast from there as you get towards Loretto, Bardstown, and right around the Springfield area. Heavy rainfall, gusty winds in scattered locations, not the entire length of this thunderstorm band, but now in scattered locations. The deeper we get into the night, we're losing instability. So these storms will also tend to weaken as they continue to move off to the east-southeast, number one. Number two, the better forcing, the better lift in the atmosphere is actually moving northeast towards the Great Lakes as the thunderstorm line slowly sinks to the southeast. So kind of seeing that part, if you will. So that also will help weaken this line over time as it travels towards southern Kentucky. So we still have the tornado warning for about the next 8 minutes or so. That goes until 2:45 EDT. And there it is, still a little bit of a velocity couplet. It doesn't look any stronger, Matt, than what it was, 5-10 minutes ago. So that's good news. Yeah, it's just holding steady. Yeah. Right? It's moving and kind of doing, and that's good news, right? We're not getting any sort of big uptick in rotation or strength with this, but it is definitely at the very least a severe storm, and one that on the radar is looking like it is still continuing to do that light rotation out there, or I should say, just enough to continue that tornado warning for the next few minutes here. Well, I'm going to be monitoring the chats to see if they'll looking to extend that downstream. If they did, that would start to go into the northern portions of Greene County and maybe also northwestern Taylor County. So I'll have to watch for that. I would expect it would be at the very least north of Greensburg, I would believe, if they were to extend it. Okay, so there is your storm track. Now, Matt is tracking actually the rotating part of this cell. Hammondville 240, Jonesville about 242, Powder Mill 247. And again, this gets beyond warning expiration. If that were to hold together, well, again, Powder Mill 247, Bloyd's Crossing a little bit later than that. We're talking Summersville 257 and Black Gnat right around 304. So we're going to continue to monitor this little inflow notch, this little notch in the heavy rain shield where there is some subtle rotation going on. Possibility of a quick tornado spin up. To this point in time, we don't have any confirmed touchdowns. Nothing coming in from storm spotters, law enforcement, anything like that. But again, it bears watching. Here it is. you know, getting closer to 3 o'clock in the morning, so don't expect a lot of people to be out looking for this stuff. It's best to just stay inside, hunker down, stay in your place of safety, and wait for this thing to pass them by. So once again, 2:40 in the morning, Eastern Daylight Time. We have a tornado warning in effect in our southern communities. This is Hart County. We're talking about 60 to 70 miles south of the metro. This is portions of LaRue County and far southern Hardin County. This warning includes Upton, Magnolia, Hammondville, Pikeview, Powder Mill, Glen Lily, and Bonneville. So if you're in that polygon, you live in these communities or close to those communities, just stay in that place of safety until this thing has passed on through or the warning is expired or canceled. And it's moving very rapidly now into northeastern portions of Hart County.
Most recent update here from the National Weather Service that they are not planning to go with a downstream warning with this into Greene and Taylor County. So they could issue another severe thunderstorm warning with it, but at least at this time, over the next 4 minutes here, we'll be seeing this tornado warning likely expire unless something over the next 1 or 2 scans here of the radar goes differently.
Right.
But at least at this time, it doesn't look like we'll be extending the tornado warning.
Good to hear. All right, Matt, let's take the next 4 minutes then and just kind of pull out and get a wide view, kind of reset, let people know what's going on if they're just waking up with us on this Tuesday morning. So there's the batch of showers and storms, and you can clearly see where the severe weather is now occurring, basically far out there in eastern Kentucky and another little batch here in south central Kentucky. And we're talking about a possibility of a strong wind gust and maybe a quick hitting tornado spin up, but as Matt just alluded to, chances for that are really starting to drop off at this point in time. Here's the metro right there, just some light rain, moderate rain left over. Drier air is punching in from the west. This rain, this batch of showers and storms will continue to push its way off towards the east and southeast the rest of the morning. We'll get a quiet day in here on your Tuesday, but yet another chance for scattered showers and a few storms Tuesday night, especially late. Some of those in our far southern communities could be kind of strong once again, so we will watch that very closely for you. Again, the severe threat done in the metro, done in Brandenburg, done in E-Town, Bardstown. Now to your south, it's basically south of the parkways, but still includes our far southern communities. Hart County, Greene, Taylor, Marion, and LaRue County, still a possibility of some scattered strong wind gusts. Could there be a spin up? Yeah, the wind, it's still circulating in the atmosphere. As you go up in the atmosphere, you have some turning going on. It speeds up. If an updraft taps into that, it can start rotating. And whenever you have a rotating storm, the chances for that storm to produce some type of severe weather, it too goes up. And that's what we're looking at. Look at that big, Matt, severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued.
Yeah, so that's what the National Weather Service decided to do with this, and that's going to go until 3:30 this morning for the Eastern time zone, 2:30 if you're in Central. As this line continues to move off to the east at 50 miles per hour, and the main concern there is going to be some 60-mile-per-hour straight line wind gust. Also, though, with eyes still on that little area of a very broad rotation, but the good news is no longer going to continue that tornado warning in about the next 60 seconds. Jay, you got about a minute to go on the tornado warning as that little area moves out of northern Hart County.
Okay, we're going to get you back to programming here in the next minute or so. But be sure and tune back in with Matt, Suzanne, and Mo throughout the course of this Tuesday morning. Had some storms, as you know, yesterday afternoon through last night, some of which did produce some wind damage. We had a tornado warning that was in effect for Oldham, Henry, and northern Shelby. Thank goodness nothing came of that. But again, scattered pockets of wind damage and some power outages, some trees down, certainly around the metro, causing some issues. Well, now that threat is farther off to the southeast, and it is weakening somewhat. The warnings that are now coming out are much more isolated than what they were earlier. last night, in other words. So the weakening trend does continue, but it still bears watching here in our southern communities with the severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the next several minutes, again, for our far southern communities. Be on the lookout for some gusty winds and certainly some heavy rainfall, but that tornado warning is now expired, has been actually replaced by a severe thunderstorm warning, so there's been a downgrade. Good to see as everything continues to push off towards the east and also the southeast. Hey, we'll keep you posted throughout the course of the morning. Matt's here, Suzanne's here, Mo's coming in. I am going to be pushing out pretty soon here. But again, we want to thank you for allowing us to keep you safe and informed. If more warnings are issued, we'll be on keeping you up to date. Let's get you back to programming.
WLKY is where Greater Louisville turns.
Evening news leaders here for you.
That's live local late break on WLKY News.
To bring down as many of the high-ranking...
Good morning, everyone. I'm WLKY meteorologist Matt Milosevic. We are looking at the storm winds once again on a thunderstorm that has just again produced another tornado warning issued by the National Weather Service just recently. And this is going to include you in Greensburg, in central Greene County, also southern portions of Taylor County. This is south of you in Campbellsville. So what we're looking at is this is part of the same storm that developed back off into western Kentucky. There were warnings with it in Ohio County, Grayson County, Hart County, and it's kind of been fluctuating back and forth in recent hours. It does not appear to be strong enough to I should say, produce an actual tornado. We haven't had any reports of that on the ground. These are radar indicated. But we do have, once again, another opportunity for the potential of a radar indicated tornado with this particular storm. What we're going to be looking at right now within this red box, that red flashing box right around the to the north of town, right in this area where we have the indication of some fairly weak rotation with this storm, but it has nonetheless kind of ramped back up. Now, farther down off towards the south here, this is mainly going to be straight line wind gust for you around Thurlow and Pierce and heading off into far southern portions of Greene County. But I want to track that one little notch that we have just north of Greensburg. And if you're watching us in Greensburg, I want you to be a little extra cautious. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this tornado warning and we're going to move it off towards the south and east, that area around 50 miles per hour. So over the next couple of minutes, it's near the Greensburg area, but that best rotation is immediately north of the city center. But up around Black Gnat, Burdick, Green River Lake, these are all locations that over the next 3 to about 13 minutes that this will be moving in your direction. The Nifley area, Barrett Springs, as we get closer to the bottom portion of the hour. So let's just be aware of this as we move forward. There has not been a tornado reported with this, but it just continues on the radar to, at times, give us indications of this rotation that we want to monitor and pay close attention to, especially since it's the middle of the night. So it's going to be really tough to see any lowerings, any funnel clouds that might be coming out of this. And this is all a storm system that has a history of producing severe weather so far. And because of that, there's actually a severe thunderstorm warning along this line that goes all the way from east of Lebanon now, really the Bradfordsville area down towards Hobson. Be on the lookout, Campbellsville, as this line heads in your direction. We're still going to get some strong wind gusts from this that at least could be at upwards of 40, 50, maybe even 60 miles per hour. So this is still a fierce line to be dealing with, even if you're not under the tornado warning. Now, as we take a broad look across the region, look farther to the north and west. Once you get along and north of the parkways, any severe weather threat is gone. That includes in the metro and southern Indiana, where we're even beginning to dry out after over 3, 4, even 5 inches of rain has fallen since yesterday with the waves of showers and thunderstorms. So now all attention is down into our far southern communities for the next several minutes with this tornado warning. And we're just going to continue continue to monitor this line as well as it continues to push off towards the east and southeast. It is starting to make more in the way of some steady progress off towards the east and southeast. Earlier, there were some times this was getting hung up a little farther up towards the north and putting down those very, very heavy rainfall amounts. And this is still going to be a heavy rainmaker as well. But this is also moving into a location that hasn't seen as much rain so far through the last, let's say, 12 hours or so. But it is a location where, nonetheless, you get some heavy rainfall this time of morning. Could be looking at, especially in a few locations, at the very least, some ponding on the roadways if you do have travel plans early. I also want to say, after the rounds of showers and thunderstorms, we also have some tree limbs and debris that are on the ground in and around the metro and a large portion of the WLKY region. So if you do have travel plans farther to the north and west early this morning, just keep that in mind. I think it's going to be a little bit of a slower commute as we make our way through, especially our early Tuesday morning. But we are on with you live right now because we do have a tornado warning in effect. This is now into eastern portions of Greene County, and it'll also include far southern Taylor and northern portions of Adair County. As we look at the main storm rotation, and if you've been watching us over the, well, let's say past 12 hours or so when things started to get active, if you're watching Chief Meteorologist Jay Cardosi through the evening and the overnight, or if you've watched our storm coverage before, you know we tend to look for where these reds and these greens come together in these areas. And that's happening right now in that circled area. It's very close and just off to the east of the Greensburg area, and also up that 68 corridor there near Black Gnat headed over to Burdick. This does look to stay just south of you in Campbellsville. I'm going to give you a little bit of a look here on where that area that we circled is moving, and you can see where the tornado warning came in on those the radar images here. It was back a couple of minutes ago, about 5-6 minutes ago, and it's for that little notch that's now cruising through southeastern portions of Greene County, getting ready to head towards the Taylor County line. With the latest update that did just inch a little farther on off towards the east and southeast, this now looks a little bit more like a straight line wind gust moving east of you in Greensburg and heading into southern portions of Greene County. So that's something that we'll watch out for around the Green River Lake area, the Burdick area. That's likely going to be a straight line wind gust. There's still evidence of some rotation within this storm on the northern edge of where that wind is kind of bowing out, that backward C. We look at the northern edge of that for rotation there in that Burdick and Black Gnat area, right along the Greene and Taylor County line. So that is the reason for the tornado warning. But keep in mind, for that straight line wind gust east and south of Greensburg, where winds could gust up to 60 miles per hour, that is covered by the severe thunderstorm warning. So we kind of have two warnings going on in this area, the areas that are highlighted in orange. And that is the severe thunderstorm warning, which includes the storms back through southern Hart, Greene, northern Taylor, and also southern and eastern Marion County. That's south of you in Lebanon now. You just have plain old pouring rain in Lebanon. If you happen to be watching us from Litchfield, Elizabethtown, Hodgenville, Bardstown, up towards Springfield, even Lebanon and Raywick, your severe weather threat is over. That line is pushing off towards the east and southeast, and it is done. And as we give you a look across the entire WLKY region, you see the farther north and west you go, the Louisville area, Brandenburg, up I-71, which had a rough go of it late in the evening with a tornado warning through portions of Oldham, Henry, and Shelby County. That is all pushed off to the south and east, and we're in the clear, including through southern Indiana. So there is some good news this overnight hour as we push into and closer and through 3 o'clock here. There's good news to the north and west, still dealing with this storm system, though, farther on off towards the south. And as we make our way closer to 4 o'clock, I think we're going to bring the severe weather threat for tonight to an end across the WLKY region. It's some of our southern communities that late Tuesday night and into Wednesday morning, we could be dealing with another round of some showers and thunderstorms across the area, a few of which could be strong. But right now, we're continuing to watch this system back through Greene County. Meteorologist Suzanne Horgan with me as well. Suzanne, any reports of any damage, anything coming out of the National Weather Service?
Well, something to keep in mind, Matt, is that we've been able to sample and examine some of the winds inside that storm at about 53 miles per hour, with some of that storm system moving right through the Greene County area, right near Greensburg, a little bit closer to Bluff Boom near Roachville. Right on top of Roachville right now, we're seeing those strongest winds. And I think that this is probably right, because the Kentucky Mesonet also sampled winds of about 57 miles per hour, a little bit closer over to Hart County along this same storm system that we were watching. So likely you are experiencing those very strong winds right on top of Roachville, moving into the Burdick area, probably heading closer to Green River Lake in the next several minutes, near Burdick, near Coburg. So again, not necessarily with the rotation, but just those winds that we're going to be watching really, really closely as this has kind of broadened out a little bit. We're going to be watching for very strong winds. I know that there's a tornado warning, but I think the wind would probably be our #1 concern. And I see that you have kind of expanded that warning a little bit farther to the north over into Campbellsville. You're expanding the area where we need to keep eyes on some of those stronger winds as well.
Yeah, and you were mentioning that, Suzanne, and I was just looking to that. That is kind of co-located. You look for where those oranges and reds are, and then we get into some of those brighter shades of pink that indicate in the storm winds here where we have some of those bigger wind gusts, and one of those is within the tornado warning right along that Taylor and Greene County line, 49 miles per hour. There's a 50. We look farther up towards the north into portions of Taylor County. This isn't for tornadic winds, but for straight line winds, could push upwards of 60. So that is why we do have that severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah. And I was going to say, that's why they've actually just issued that severe thunderstorm warning, Matt, that you were pointing out. So we have the tornado warning, and then we've also seen an expansion of that severe thunderstorm warning where you're watching for that orange polygon right there. So that has been expanded. So we have that one tornado warning that will continue until 3:30. That does include Taylor County and also into portions of Adair County. But we don't want to let down our guard, because you can see that Matt was sampling some of those winds a little bit closer to Mansville and Merrimack, where we were seeing winds potentially the upwards of 60, 61 miles per hour, Matt.
And those, those are the type of winds that we have seen with this system and the stronger storms, even back earlier into the evening hours, some perhaps 60+ mile per hour wind gusts. So this is all still part of the same system moving on through. We'll continue to monitor it. We typically don't see and get a lot of reports through the overnight hours as well, because of course most of you, I hope, are watching safely from your homes here. And we always thank you that you tune in to WLKY for all your severe weather and weather coverage. And what we are watching right now is right in towards really where Adair, Greene, and Taylor County meet, right around Green River Lake. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to take the warnings off for just a second, because it's a lot going on the radar right now. But I want to give you a little bit of a look. The area of main concern with the tornado warning is going to be, again, right along that 3-county area where Greene, Taylor, and Adair County meet. So we're going to switch over to the storm velocity here, where we can see the winds inside that storm, and that's exactly where we see those greens kind of wrapping in with the reds there, right around Green River Lake. So let's be on the lookout in that location. This is where I want you to go ahead and take your tornado precautions. Be in the center of the house or in a basement. That's the best place to be. This is still a radar-indicated tornado, but nonetheless, it is part of a storm, a supercell thunderstorm that has really maintained itself within this main line of storms for really the better part of the last couple of hours. It all started back off into western portions of Kentucky, rolled through Grayson County earlier, as well as portions of Hart County and Greene County, and it occasionally wraps back up and kind of fluctuates with its rotation, and that is what we're dealing with right now, and that's why we have a tornado warning for the next 15 minutes in this area. Now, that tornado warning and that threat for any tornadic weather. That's past you now off to the east in Greensburg. You still have some thunderstorm activity, some heavy rain as well, and you could get some strong wind gusts down into southern Greene County along that Highway 68 corridor there south of Greensburg. So let's be on the lookout for that. Cane Valley, Green River Lake, though, you're under the most attention here for the potential for a perhaps spin-up tornado with this line of thunderstorms that's moving on through, or at the very least, some straight line wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour. So let's be very much cautious of that as we look at some of the winds within this area. That's where you start to see these lighter shades of pink. That's where we'll start to get winds gusting in excess of 50 to 60 miles per hour. You see 64 up near Mansville and Merrimack, as Suzanne was mentioning just a little while ago, that this wind threat does extend a little farther to the north. As we get further and further into some of the soaking heavy rain, like back up towards Danville, that is likely some of the winds a little higher up in the storm clouds and may not be able to make it all the way to the surface. One thing that's going on is in our southern communities, Campbellsville, Greensburg, south to Columbia, you haven't had the same amount of rainfall that cools the air mass as we had a little farther up towards the north. So you still have a little bit of thunderstorm juice or fuel, if you will, to work with here over the next hour. And that's why we still have this strong line of thunderstorms extending really now, inching a little closer to the Cumberland Parkway. So we're starting to get solidly into southern Kentucky here. You can see from Bowling Green and now just north of you in Columbia, that's where we have the majority of this thunderstorm activity. The farther north you go, if you're watching us in Lebanon, Springfield, back up towards the parkways, the metro northward into southern Indiana, the severe weather threat is gone. For the WLKY area, that severe weather threat, we're still going to include you in Campbellsville here, but it's really where we have the oranges and reds. So if you live to the, let's say, the south and east, or the bottom right, below and to the right of that line that I drew, that's where we still are going to have a severe weather threat for the next few minutes. So Campbellsville, Greensburg, I think by 3:30 we'll be able to bring our guard down for any severe weather. But Columbia, Kentucky, and Adair County, this is going to continue here for at least the next 30 to 45 minutes potentially. And I think once we get towards the 4 o'clock hour, we're going to get quieter in terms of severe weather. We're still going to have some thunder and lightning. We're still going to have some rain as this system continues to push on off to the south and east. But nonetheless, we are starting to get into the waning hours and moments of this storm system. But nonetheless, we still have a tornado warning to watch. Suzanne, anything coming out?
You know, I just want to point out that we have so many power outages kind of across the WLKY viewing area. We haven't had any reports of power outages with this tornado warning that you're looking at right now. And this is right on top of where we're seeing the strongest winds, right on top of Cane Valley. A little bit closer when we talk about some of the roadways, Daylily Lane, Beach Top Road. That's going to be heading into your direction right along Austin Trace. We're also going to be looking at that storm with the strongest winds moving into Mount Carmel Road, a little bit closer over to Bridgewater Road as well, Biggs Road. This is in the Kellyville area. I'm going to talk about some of those smaller roads just to give you some perspective if you're familiar with this area. Near Pikes Ridge Road, it looks like we're seeing winds on the upwards of about 58 miles per hour where you are, a little bit closer to Bridgewater, about 56-mile-per-hour winds being reported there. Also very strong winds right near portions of Pelham Branch. We're seeing wind speeds there a little bit closer to perhaps 59 miles per hour. So bottom line, very strong storm moving through, even if it's not rotating actively right now. We're seeing those very powerful winds. Also a little bit farther to the north over into the Bradfordsville area where we're picking up winds of about 60 miles per hour there. And as you mentioned, near Merrimack at about 58 miles per hour. This will be moving out of the WLKY viewing area in relatively short order. In fact, they're clearing a number of the watches behind this as this line moves through, Matt. So again, we have that tornado warning that does continue until 3:30 this morning for portions of Taylor County and into portions of Adair County as well. But I think we're looking at really a wind threat at this point.
Yeah, that appears to be the case, Suzanne. And yeah, Barrett Springs, Nifley here in the next few minutes. You're going to be in that tornado warning as the area of rotation with this storm pushes on off to the east. But as Suzanne mentioned too, the straight line wind threat also continues into the eastern portions of Taylor County and extreme southeastern portions of Greene County. But Campbellsville, now it looks like the worst weather is moving immediately east of downtown Campbellsville. Greensburg, you are now no longer under any warnings. You just have heavy rain with that thunderstorm and the worst of it pushing off to the south and east. And we're now really beginning to highlight extreme southern Taylor County into Adair County with the potential of not only just that rotating thunderstorm that's produced the tornado warning, but this is radar indicated, so we don't have evidence of a tornado on the ground, but the radar has indicated that there's enough rotation with this storm that we're still going to be concerned for the potential of a perhaps brief spin-up tornado in this location that I have highlighted. Again, the Nifley area around 322, Barnett Springs 329. So this is quite rural areas of northern Adair County. It's north of you in Columbia. I want you to notice what just happened on the radar. Did you see that update with the tornado warning? It now has cleared the entirety of Greene and Taylor County. So now we're talking just northern Adair. With this, I'll put back on the winds inside the storm. And again, remember, it's where that red and that green kind of start to loop into one another. Right here is where we see that rotation. So this is northern portions of Adair County now as it moves off to the east. This is north of you in Columbia. But having said that, Columbia, we're still going to watch out because that line of storms is starting to nudge closer and closer to you into town. You're probably starting to hear the winds pick up. And there's still some evidence that very close to Columbia, you could get some gusts in excess of 50 miles per hour. Northern portions of Adair County, there's some maybe 50 to 58. So we're in the 50 to 60 mile per hour range with the gust. And so that warrants severe levels for this thunderstorm as well. So keep in mind, even if we're not dealing with the rotation in your particular area, but Columbia, the Cumberland Parkway down towards Adair County, eastern portions of Taylor County, you're still going to get the potential for some high wind gusts. Now, also remember with severe weather, even though you may be under a severe thunderstorm warning, that does not guarantee that your neighborhood, your specific location will get 60 mile per hour wind gusts. These can be very isolated, and they often are. And I think that's going to be the case this go around as well. But if you catch a 60 mile per hour wind gust, especially with the trees having all the leaves on them now, they are going to lose a couple of branches and lose a couple of limbs. I can tell you from my ride in to work a little over an hour and a half ago, there was quite a bit of tree debris up into the Louisville area as well. So if you're watching us from closer to town, into southern Indiana, all the places that had thunderstorms and heavy rain, there's going to be some debris out on the roadways as you get going this morning. And many areas are going to have, at least at the very least, a little picking up to do. As we look at the winds within this storm, back still through the Mansville area, you could still catch, not just for this severe thunderstorm warning, but we're still going to be looking at the potential, remember, in these areas of pink, that's over 50 mile per hour wind gust here. So that's where we could get still some severe gusts with this storm, perhaps even trying to inch into far southeastern Marion County. But the good news with that is that we can see now the thunderstorm activity with that into southeastern portions of Marion County is really pushing off to the south and east. So mostly what we're seeing on the radar there is likely aloft and not reaching the ground. Those strongest gusts likely pushing on off to the south and east into Casey County. But where we still have some of the brighter reds and oranges going, and that includes far eastern portions of Taylor County here, as well as down into Adair County. This is now where we have the strongest part of these storms, east of you in Campbellsville, but really knocking on the doorstep of Columbia, Kentucky. So I've highlighted the areas that were of most concern with the severe weather over about the next 15 to maybe 30 minutes across the area as it clears our far southernmost counties, eastern portions of Taylor County, southern Adair. We're going to be with you through this to get you through this storm, because I know at night it can be unnerving when you're rustled out of bed due to thunderstorms, especially tornado warnings that are going off on your phone or your weather radios or your WLKY app, which I hope you're using during times of especially unsettled weather as we move through the springtime. You know, we've had a little bit of a gap between these lines of storms and any severe weather recently, but we are in the heart of severe weather season across the WLKY region, so it's always something that we need to be aware of. All right, we're going to continue to look inside the storm here. The area highlighted in red, northern Adair County, the Nifley area, Dunbar Hill, Eunice. Those are just a few of the areas, including Barnett Springs, that we still have some rotation showing up on the radar. This does not scream big tornado on the ground or anything like that, but the evidence has been there from time to time on the radar with this particular storm cell that we could get a brief spin-up tornado into northern portions of Adair County. So we'll keep close eyes on that as long as we have the tornado warning. Now, as we look farther off towards the south on this line through Adair County, keep in mind, we're looking more at straight line winds here. We don't really see those greens curling into the reds near you and just off to the south in Columbia. That is more in a straighter line, hence the term straight line winds that we'll look at for you here. That still has the potential to be in excess of 50 miles per hour within some of these storm areas. Just recently in Columbia, it looks a little less, but again, this is part of a thunderstorm complex that has a history of producing some strong wind gusts across the region. Suzanne Horgan is with us too. I want to bring her in and just see, Suzanne, if you're catching anything off of the Weather Service chats or from our viewers, perhaps on social media, anything to report with these storms as they roll through our southern communities.
So far with these storms, I do want to point out that we were able to sample a little bit of hail from some of these storms as well. So you might be hearing the pinging of a little bit of hail, perhaps in a couple of areas as well with our hail tracker. I want to give us some streets where we're picking up some of that rotation, Matt. This is a little bit closer over to Ray Miller Road, Cooper Ridge Road near Casey Creek, Dry Creek Road, and Carroll Road, as well as Elkhorn Road. That's where we're still seeing a little bit of that rotation showing up right near Ray Williams Road as well. So if you're hearing the name of your road, this is when you need to be in your place of safety. Cooper Ridge Road, even if it's not an active tornado, it is certainly a storm that is strong enough, and it is a rotating storm. And sometimes our storms that are very powerful tend to rotate regardless. So we are certainly still sampling very strong winds into portions of Merrimack, Mansville, where we're not currently under a tornado warning, but rather a severe thunderstorm warning. So we're going to still be monitoring for the potential of very strong winds just to the east of Bradfordsville, right near areas of Merrimack, heading a little bit closer over into portions of Jacktown, moving out of the WLKY viewing area. So far, we have not had any reports of any funnel clouds or anything like that. This has all been radar indicated rotation that we're seeing, and obviously it's the middle of the night. Everyone is in bed, which is also what makes situations like this, Matt, as you know, very dangerous because you don't have people awake and paying attention to the weather. Likely it is a scary night because you're hearing some of those sirens perhaps, or your weather alert on your phone or your weather radio going off this morning for our southern communities. Do you want to just expand out really quickly, Matt, so we can show kind of the general overview? So if you're someone who doesn't sleep well when it storms, I do want to point out that you are fine in the metro southern Indiana. We're in good shape. The only warnings that we're currently seeing are those warnings that Matt is showing us a little bit farther down to the south and to the east. So if you're in the metro, if you're in southern Indiana, you are fine. It's really farther down to the south and quickly actually moving through the WLKY viewing area. And that tornado warning, of course, is going to wrap up at 3:30, and I suspect they'll probably let that expire. But Matt, I'm going to send it to you to kind of wrap up the coverage.
Yeah, Suzanne, and it does look that way. The rotation that we are seeing, while it has been sustained, it's very broad. And so what we tend to look for within that is not only sustainability and the fact that this storm really developed farther back into western Kentucky. So it's one that we've been watching for the last couple of hours across our region. But as we zoom in toward that tornado warning, portions of Taylor and Adair County. I want you to notice that we're still going to be on the lookout for that storm, but this is coming to an end here, and it does not look like a tornado warning will be extended farther off to the south and east. Even if it were, that is outside of the WLKY region into portions of, let's say, Casey County. But we'll give a quick look in here into the storm velocities, and I want you to notice this is just continues. Any signs of rotation here really take up a larger area on the map along the Casey and Adair County line. For any strong indications of tornadoes, you kind of want that circle to be a little smaller, a little tighter into that rotation than this has been recently. So this is exhibiting a little bit more of a straight line wind gust, perhaps still right in the far northern portions of Adair County. And I want you to just notice as we crossed over to 3:30, 2:30 in the central time zone, we have now lost that red box. So the tornado warning has been allowed to expire. It is still, though, a severe thunderstorm warning through portions of mainly Adair County. And I want you to notice, we're going to give a quick look for you if you're watching us in Campbellsville, Greensburg, Greene, and Taylor County. The worst of this storm, it is now off to your south and east. So if you're in Greene and Taylor County, you may hear some rumbles of thunder. It is definitely still pouring rain, but the threat for severe weather is now off to your south and east. Columbia, Kentucky, you're getting into the worst of the weather right now as well, with some very heavy rainfall. Likely some lightning streaking across the sky, as well as some very intense downpours too this morning right along the Cumberland Parkway. That's going to be a real rough go of it. If you do have to head out in the next few minutes, might be best to just delay that. Even if you can pause your travels 10 or 15 minutes, you're going to let the worst of this move on off towards the east and southeast. It's still going to be a wet go, but nonetheless, the worst of the weather, I think, will be moving on out. We'll look at some of the velocity images. There are still some indications that we could get some winds gusting in excess of 50 to maybe 60 miles per hour with the worst of this line. Again, through portions of Adair County. So let's be on the lookout for that. I'm going to put things into motion. You're going to be able to see this is a loop over the last half hour. So in 30 minutes, the most intense part of that line has gone from just north of Greensburg and Campbellsville and pushing now, especially starting to move south and east of Columbia. So that's going to take it out of the WLKY region here really over about the next 10 to 15 minutes. And that's why you can see in the warnings too, the National Weather Service is trying to stay on top of things. Somerset, Kentucky right now is completely dry, but they're under a severe thunderstorm warning because this storm complex is going to get a better push into south and eastern Kentucky and away from the WLKY region very shortly here. We're going to continue to monitor it for our friends, our viewers down in Adair County, because this has been a storm that nonetheless has been persistent throughout this evening, all the way back to late yesterday afternoon when we started to get thunderstorms rumbling back through southern portions of Indiana. This is something that has really affected the entirety of the WLKY region. We don't want the severe weather portion of this, but this is also a part of the WLKY area that has been under a drought, from moderate to severe drought. So the rains are hopefully welcomed, even though heavy rain isn't the best way to alleviate drought. I think at this point in time, we'll take what we can get for the agricultural interests especially, which is quite broad in this area of Greene, Taylor, and Adair County. But if you're watching us in Columbia along the Cumberland Parkway right now, there is still a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect, and this is going to be in effect for the next few minutes. It goes until 3:45. And this is for the potential for 60-mile-per-hour wind gust. You might even get a little bit of pea-sized hail out of this. We have also just noticed from the National Weather Service, they have officially taken Greene and Taylor County out of any warnings. So the severe weather threat is now done for everyone with one exception. That's going to be Adair County until we get this severe thunderstorm warning out of here. And that will be in about 11 minutes here at 3:45 Eastern, 2:45 7:45 in the central time zone. We're still going to get some lightning strikes. I'm not sure why our lightning indicator says 0. There are no doubt there's going to be some lightning with this. It's not as frequent and intense as it was earlier in the overnight, but there's no doubt some lightning strikes streaking across the skies of Adair County with some of that heavy rain and thunderstorm activity.
If you put the lightning on, it'll come up.
We also, oh, thank you, Suzanne. That's why. There you go, the 30. The lightning strikes, starting to see it. But we are looking at still, so some vivid lightning out there. Not much in the way of hail, but around Columbia, you might get some pea-sized hail out of this. And we're just mainly watching what is looking more and more like some general thunderstorm activity with some embedded high wind gusts. The highest wind gusts are starting to show themselves now mainly off towards the east of Columbia. And this is all going to be moving on off towards the east and southeast as well. Once you look at that area of pink through northern Adair County, that's kind of pushing off towards the east and southeast with just shades of red the farther off to the left or the south and west you go through Adair County. So the best chance for a strong wind gust is mainly going to be where we see some of these deeper shades of red. And if you look really closely, there's even some purple right there along the eastern Adair County line there north of Sano and over towards Craycraft. That is likely where we're going to get the most intense winds, maybe back towards Gadberry and Gradyville. So let's just be on the lookout in those locations for the next few minutes as we move on through with this severe thunderstorm warning. There is no longer a tornado warning anywhere in the WLKY region. And in fact, we are looking at most of the worst of this weather now starting to push off towards the south and east and away from the WLKY area. Even in Columbia, Kentucky, still pouring down rain for you, but I want you to notice those deeper shades of red are now starting to push south of downtown. Gradyville, Flatwood, Ozark, Craycraft, those are still some areas that are going to get some intense wind at times with the downpours really coming down. It's still heavy rain in Columbia, and you see some of the lightning strikes around you as well. So that is something that you're going to be dealing with here for about the next half hour. And then farther off to the north, Greensburg, Campbellsville, Lebanon, it is still rainfall, some occasional lightning as well. So it's going to continue to be quite wet. It's just the severe weather threat is going to be ending as we get closer and closer to 4 o'clock. And in fact, in Adair County, I would say probably in about the next 10 to 15 minutes, the majority of any severe weather threat is going to be gone. Suzanne, just a quick check of anything to report, any wind gust reports or flooding, anything along those lines?
We've not gotten any of those reports. I know that the National Weather Service is just talking about clearing a number of those watches and warnings at this time. So what we're going to be looking at, Matt, and I suspect what will end up happening is when the sun comes up, we are going to be getting a lot more damage reports. As we discussed, even on our way in, I had some roads that were blocked that blocked my being able to leave my neighborhood. And even on some of the main roadways, there was quite a bit of debris out on the roadways. So the difference now versus earlier in the season is we now have a full canopy of leaves out there. And so we're seeing a lot of branches and a lot of debris in the roadways. This was also a very electric storm system. So I know that we also had some reports of some fires a little bit farther to the north across areas of Jackson County. Not clear if those were from lightning strikes. So I think what we're probably going to notice is, while we're not getting very many reports currently, I suspect that when the sun comes up a little bit closer to 8 o'clock, we are likely going to have a number of reports. Now, as far as power outages, we are from LG&E getting reports of about 14,000 customers without power. I know LG&E does not cover the entire WLKY viewing area, but we have a lot of power outages as well. So again, very bumpy night. I know a very scary night for some when the warnings are going off. The bottom line is it was a bumpy night for meteorologists too, because you could hear the wind howling and obviously quite a bit of heavy rainfall, as well as very strong winds that were racing through portions of the WLKY viewing area. We didn't have any reports of any funnel clouds. We did have a couple of tornado warnings, but this has certainly been a wind event. And Matt, I know we've been talking about it for the past couple of days. We suspected this was going to be the primary concern from this particular storm system, was really the potential for some of those damaging wind gusts.
Yeah, Suzanne, I mean, I hope that you were watching our forecast. The thunderstorms were in it going all the way back to 7 days ago. And just like we often do, you get into the fine tuning as we get closer and closer into time. But this storm system did give us a big heads up. And so hopefully you were prepared for it. There's going to be a little bit of cleanup to do across the area. Hopefully it's just mainly tree limbs. But yeah, as Suzanne mentioned, we think as the sun comes up, we may see a few more damage reports across the area to come in. We'll keep you advised on all that through our WLKY morning broadcast. That's going to start at 4:30. What we'll be doing then is tracking the back edge of this rain, but it is still very unsettled in our area in terms of shower and thunderstorm chances that could redevelop late in the day and into tonight. So we'll watch for that too, because the same frontal system that kicked off this round of showers and storms is going to kind of park itself farther to the south, down along the Kentucky and Tennessee border. And depending on where that migrates through the day, could refire some shower and thunderstorms once again. The main concern with those would be some hailstones and some high wind gusts once again. So we'll likely be tracking some thunderstorm activity later on this Tuesday. But as that line clears, the rainfall now the end of the rainfall starting to nudge a little closer to the western Kentucky and the Bluegrass Parkways. We're drier in Louisville back through southern Indiana. We are going to see several hours of dry time across the region today before we start to reintroduce any storm chances later day and into tonight. So just keep that in mind. We'll catch a gap here of some drier skies and drier time in between rounds of thunderstorms, but it'll stay unsettled as we make our way into the midweek time frame. So just be on the lookout for that. This is a part of an overall pattern shift that's also going to turn our temperatures quite a bit cooler in the run-up to the big races for Oaks and Derby by the end of the week. But right now, we're still tracking a few thunderstorms across the area. The only WLKY county with a warning on it right now, and it's a severe thunderstorm warning, is for Adair County. So we're going to zoom on in. That warning is still for you officially in Columbia. But I'm going to give you a look at some of the velocity images across the area. And if you've been with us recently, you know when we see these areas of pink, that's where we could get into some of the stronger wind gusts. And those are now east of Adair County. So some really good news there. As we put back on the reflectivity to get a look at the radar, there could still be some strong wind gusts south of the Cumberland Parkway for you. But even that is looking less and less. I was just checking some of the observations down towards Adair County too, including on the Kentucky Mesonet. And we weren't getting any big time wind gust around Columbia, Kentucky. Earlier in the overnight, you had some 40-mile-per-hour gusts with some of the storms, but that is just about it. So I feel pretty confident in saying that the severe weather threat is coming to an end across the entirety of the WLKY region, and the severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect for these portions of Adair County, that will be ending in the next few minutes across the region. So that's going to all be good news that we're talking about here across the area. In fact, the strongest looking part of the storm is now in the southern portions of Adair County. It's actually outside of the warning. So we continue to see improvements in terms of any severe weather threat. Still a pretty strong cell south of Edmonton, back over towards Bowling Green and Warren County. So if you do have travel plans, you have friends and family out towards the far southern portions of Kentucky, it's going to continue to be a rough night, because where they haven't had much in the way of thunderstorms down there, there's still temperatures in the upper 60s to near 70 that'll continue to fuel some of these showers and thunderstorms over the next hour or so. But it continues to push away from the WLKY region. We'll take an entire look across the WLKY area. You see those drier skies through southern Indiana, northern Kentucky, the I-71 corridor back to the metro, and increasingly closer to the parkways. We're still going to have some puddles and ponding on the roads and a lot of rain across our northern communities, even including the metro, where many locations had upwards of 3 inches of rainfall. And it's going to continue to be very soggy off to the south as we move these showers and thunderstorms out. But the severe weather threat now ending across the WLKY area, and that is definitely good news until we turn our attention to later today and into tonight for what could be more thunderstorm activity, primarily into our southern communities. But you'll still see some lightning out there. Notice the lightning counter is coming down over the last 30 minutes from 151 to 43. That's very good news. That indicates weakening overall of the storms across the region. We no longer have any tornado warnings. And again, the severe thunderstorm warnings across the area are getting ready to expire over the course of the next really few seconds, and that will bring an end to severe weather across the WLKY area. Suzanne, quick check back in with you. Anything to report before we get everyone back to regular programming?
Yeah, and I think we need to also be really mindful of the potential of, because we had that heavy rainfall, we do have still some flash flood warnings out there, and that's the other piece of the equation, especially in some of those urban areas near creeks, rivers, and streams. Obviously, we haven't seen a ton of rain over the past couple of weeks. In fact, we have drought conditions across much, especially the Commonwealth. But really want to be careful as you're heading off to work. We know some people have to go to work when it is still dark out. You may still see some areas of some higher water, so we want you to be really careful as you're heading out the door this morning. It's very difficult to see when it is still dark out there, and especially across some of our southern communities where you are still seeing some torrential downpour. So even though some of the warnings, the severe thunderstorm warnings and the tornado warnings will have wrapped up, it doesn't mean that we are completely safe. We still want you to be very careful as you're heading out, not only for that debris that we have been talking about in the roadways with those branches and tree limbs that are in the roads, but also for the potential of some standing water out there, and perhaps in some areas, even some high water as well, Matt.
Yeah, great advice, Suzanne, as we move through the morning. I know you're going to keep everyone advised on traffic at WLKY Morning News that starts at 4:30. I'm going to have the latest weathercast as well. But the great news is now all severe thunderstorm warnings are out of the WLKY region. The severe storms are pushing south. The heaviest weather right now south of the Cumberland Parkway in Adair County, but those storms are no longer severe. So as long as we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings, we're going to get you back to our regularly scheduled program. Thank you for turning it to WLKY and the WLKY weather team for this severe weather information. Hope you have a quieter night ahead.
WLKY is where Greater Louisville turns.
Evening news leaders here for you.
That's live local late break on WLKY News. We now join our regularly scheduled programming already in progress.